for being here. President Bola Tinubu has named a former chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Ibokette Ibas, an administrator for Rivers State. The appointment was made after the president declared a state of emergency in the state and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and the state lawmakers for 6 months. Tinubu made the declaration on Tuesday during a national broadcast. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly of Rivers State are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months. In the meantime, I hereby nominate Vice Admiral Ibokette Ibas, retired, as administrator to take charge of the affairs of the state in the interest of the good people of Rivers State. For the avoidance of doubt, this declaration does not affect the judicial arm of Rivers State, which shall continue to function in accordance with their constitutional mandate. Tinubu said the decision was taken to restore stability in the state that has been witnessing political turmoil as a result of the disagreement between the state governor and the state lawmakers. Comrade Truba, I'm sure you watched the national broadcast from the president yesterday night. And the suspension that has been put on the governor of Rivers State. This Rivers crisis did not start today in this instance. But I'd love to get your thoughts on what you make out of this, declaring a state of emergency in a state that has not really gotten into that point. And then the question is, does the president have the right to suspend a sitting governor of a state?
Once again, thank you for having me. And like I would always say, people already know my stance. A couple of days before now, I had already started looking and with deep analysis. I've been looking at the issues as they are. Let's take this emergency from the very roots. The state of emergency declared in Rivers State now from its root. Ask yourself what exactly transpired between the governor and the 27 House of Assembly members on the 23rd of November 2023. Till date, the Rivers people are yet to know the exact thing that transpired. If anybody does know that, I think it should be brought to the fore. Before they talked about the governor they want the assembly members intending to impeach the governor. We must ask ourselves this very all-important question. What really happened? To what end? What has the governor done? Because we know what the Constitution states about impeachment. What was the gross misconduct as at the time carried out by the governor that warranted a decision of the assembly or a majority supposedly at the time contemplating to impeach the governor? That is yet to be settled. On top of that, the governor that seems like it is the victim has not at any point in time come out to say, in the course of my findings, these were the reasons why the House of Assembly intended to impeach me earlier on, upon which I have made corrections, upon which I was not faulted, or I was not faulty. So the truth remains that it cannot be overemphasized. This is the reality. This is a script for those of us that are from the public balance viewpoint. We consider all of this a script being played out right before us.
Okay,
however,
if I may cut you short there, you said this is a script.
Yeah.
The governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, has actually made a press statement this morning considering the suspension. In that instance, and he listed that he was ready to, abide by the rules until the suspension. In that instance, do you still say that it is a script that he is aware of that's actually being played?
I have just told you that this is a script. From my own viewpoint, what rules is he abiding by? The judgment of the Supreme Court. It had told before they got to the Supreme Court, what was the issue that led to this House of Assembly members that were supposedly members of same party, political party, to just wake up one morning and demand or decide to impeach the governor? What was their issue? Till date, nobody has come out to clearly say this was the issue.
Okay.
We have only just heard rumors that the FCT minister was being overbearing on the governor, and the governor tried to take a stand as it were. What was the overbearing nature of the FCT minister? In an embargo like this, one would have expected the governor to have been more vocal, more outspoken, to let the people know what the issues really are. But up until date, even before this emergency has been declared, nobody had known the main issue. So whether we like it or not, I want to make bold to say that this is a script. And I've said it already, and I think I feel excited to know that it was not easy, but it was fine, good in 18 to decipher that part of the script that I consider a script that's been played out. And what is that script? Looking at the person of the governor, who had been an accountant for years and had been an important figure in the government of the past administration, whether you like it or yes, the accountant was an important figure.
Yes.
To that end, you have an SSG who had a track record of a level of doggedness, boldness, sagacity, and leadership from the extraction of the state. We have seen things happen in 2015, we have seen things happen in 2019, and I want to equally draw your attention to something that transpired. On this 8th of October 2016, the then governor came out at the dead of the night to repel an assignment or a program or a stunt or whatever you call it by the GSS, who came into the state to break into the house of a sitting high judge. And the governor told them that he is the governor of this state, the chief secretary of the state, and this can truncate, throw the state into what he does not intend for it to happen. Upon that strength, that what's it called? That assignment of the DSS was foisted by the sitting governor, exerting himself on that matter. And as it were, the people of Rivers State had every reason to believe that the governor did the right thing, because everybody believed that in the interest of the state, if they saw the people, like what we saw in Abuja, transpired here, where people were using machete and battle axes to bring down the doors of judges, I can assure you that there will be young people that will say no. They will equally get out there and try to confront them, and it might lead to a clash. And it was a justifiable intervention by the governor. Fast forward to now. In all these scripts that has been played out, the governor that we know, no man can be this calm, no man can be this docile, no man can be this unthinking. What you had about from 2023 November to March 2025, there was no process of recalling these honorable members. Say you haven't recalling them via constituency through your office as the governor. There was funds to make sure those things happen, because one way or the other, in all of this embargo, whether we accept it or not, it is obvious that the people of Rivers State and the residents here, they stood by the governor all along. But it is obvious that nobody understands that this for me is a game. And unless somebody comes to tell us otherwise and bring credible reasons otherwise, I can tell you without my words that this is a script. Now look at what transpired in Abalama. That has heated the politics to the level where we find ourselves. A king in Abalama, the Akbalama king, His Royal Majesty Big Tom Tom, wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Police, wrote a letter to the sitting governor, wrote a letter to all security agencies of the state, and said, because of the defamatory statement of the FCT minister as regards to the job people, whether right or wrong, but within the context of his letter, made it clear that the IYC Eastern Region has said that they are going to have their convention in Abalama that same day. And this portends a great level of threat. And as a custodian of the tradition, a custodian of the land, he came out to say, no, let us do our best to ensure that we foist this crisis that's about to come. And pleaded with the FCT minister that first and foremost, your Thanksgiving, I was not privy to your Thanksgiving, which is supposed to be an insult to the entire people of Abalama and to the Rias too. On top of that, he pleaded with him, he said, please, avoid this particular date. We can reschedule for another date. Whilst we equally write to the IYC, which we believe our children, to say, please let us avoid this what's it called, pending clash.
Okay.
And on top of that, we expected a governor who was not playing to a script. Hear me and hear me well. A governor.
You keep referring.
Yes, listen to me.
Can I hold you?
Before you hold me, just let me land on this thought.
I need to make
let me land on this thought. A governor that was not playing to a script, a governor that knows his own news, could not mobilize himself to that place as solidarity for the people of Abalama. If you say you are really for the people and you are not playing the script to just create a scenario where the government will have an opportunity to consider the place unnecessarily tense. The governor never went there. He never sent any aides there. He never marshaled anybody there. The FCT minister came, tear-gassed the people, the ladies that were there, and bulldozed his way through and went to the same Abalama to carry out the function. Upon that function, a lot was stated. And it was on that function he said, I'm not going to tell the House of Assembly what to do because they know what to do. And immediately after the weekend, by the Monday, a letter of impeachment has been served to the governor. Let me tell you, I make bold to say, until something happens clearly that is completely different from what I've seen over this period of time, I make bold to say that this is but nothing but a script played out by very dull politicians, because it is so easy for us to decipher, and it's a pity we are here already.
Okay, thank you in that, Comrade Chuba. You just keep talking about the script that is being played out by the set of politicians, which involve the Governor Siminalayi Fubara, the FCT Minister, and the President Tinubu, because this is more like a triangle going on here in this instance. Like I asked you, does the President have the right, according to the Constitution, to suspend a sitting governor? Because if this is actually a script, why is it not done in the right way? Have we come to that lawlessness state that anything can happen, anyone can come up, as the President can come up, take a national broadcast and decide on what has to be done without following due processes? Because if we have to look at it here, the constitutions were not involved in this instance. And then appointing Ibas as the administrator of River State for 6 months for the duration of suspension that Siminalayi have to stay for. Does it mean that this man has been there, according to the scripts that you have mentioned, he has been there like benched for this situation to come up before he gets to be put as the administrator? Because this decision cannot just come up just like that in that instance. I still want to get your thoughts on this. Does the President have the right to suspend the sitting governor of a state according to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? And why did Ibas just get into the picture all of a sudden?
Just before I respond, I want to say this. Every man will be remembered for what he has done, whether right or wrong. The life after death is for immortals or the spirits to determine. And upon that strength, I want to ask you, I have to return it back to you because of my analysis. In 2003, the sitting president today had a long battle with the president at the time, the president of Olusegun Obasanjo. When some courts gave the president the rights to withhold the funds of Lagos State, the Supreme Court clearly stated that no other arm of government had the right to withhold the funds of another state. Now, fast forward to 2025. That was a 7-month Supreme Court judgment, and the word, what is talking about in law, they say every judgment should have a human face. And it was seemingly so, because you consider the fact that people needed to feed. You consider the fact that there are people who are giving their genuine service to work. Okay. And now you are going to stifle all of them because of the actions and inactions of some funny actors and characters who, for us, they just play themselves into the system. Now, you are asking about jurisprudence. Does the president have the right, as he followed the Constitution? Does the FCT minister have the right to use public funds to buy form for all the assembly members, including the governor? He has not only alluded to this fact on public space once or twice. This is public knowledge. Does the Supreme Court, that knows that there is a running case in the lower court that is yet to be finalized in respect to defection, have the right by law, by all standards, to now make a pronouncement on the matter, knowing fully well that there is still time? What is pursuing the Supreme Court that makes it to be in a hurry to make that judgment? I can make both to say that constitutionality, as far as this APC government is concerned, has been thrown into the wind. We have seen embarrassing judgments. We have seen a funny arrangement from the PDP government to the APC government, but we have not seen rascality of this level at any time of governance. So whether we like it or not, like we will say, the Supreme Court is what? Supreme. Because it is supreme now, it is infallible, and it's fallible because it is supreme. Now the same way, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the commander-in-chief, is the chief executive, is the chairman, is the everything of the country. Like he had in his broadcast, no serious government will sit down in the wake of what is happening. Now we say one pipe is blown. Now upon that strength, we are going to declare a state of emergency. What were the processes that should have been observed ab initio? If it was that important, when was the pipeline blown? The first pipeline was blown very early hours of yesterday. Did the president make a communique to the House of Assembly, to the National House of Assembly, to say, look, this is the emergency meeting, this is what is on ground? All of those informations are not here. The next thing we hear is, yes, there was one, because it's an alleged government, it's an alleged Nigeria, it's an alleged system we have come to start living with. So whether we like it or yes, I can make bold to say that neither the governor nor the SSG, whom I know the antecedents to a level, have acted as though they were not part and parcel of this script. I consider all of this a funny script. Somebody will say, why talking about a script? Somebody will be frustrated. Why talking about a script? I'm talking about a script because these things are unimaginably happening and they have become a reality today. And whether you like it or yes, the things that have happened in the first place where there was no script should never in the first place have happened. Do not forget, even with the House of Assembly brought down, a part of the House of Assembly brought down ab initio, you heard the governor say, this is a family matter. It's a father and son issue. On top of that, you heard people had the temerity to come out and insult the governor clearly to his face, directly. And there were no suits that were even that followed suit. But yet they gave us the impression that there was an acrimony somewhere, that there was misunderstanding somewhere. I make bold to say that we are not fools.
So how
Rivers
does
people are not fools.
you have mentioned, how would this affect the state allocation of River State?
Obviously now there's the state administration. The state administration will be released. There is no House of Assembly to sit for the governor to give a budget anymore. The state allocation will be released. What is the now? If we cannot, in good faith, say we have been able to have audited any properly democratically elected, government, state government, is it a sole administrator that want to carefully audit? So whether we like it or yes, I do not want to go into the gray areas of what is possible and what's not possible. But I'm just, by grace, opportunity to be here to make the analysis clearer for people that have been living in limbo and in darkness, to make us understand that for me, there has been no fighting anywhere. These have just been actors trying to play out a script for a particular interest and for a particular goal.
What is that particular interest? What is the script you've just been
the
saying?
The script I have deciphered is very clear and simple for me. And what is that script? There is a grand plan. We ensure that there is a possible destabilization of this polity. There might be someone out there still in the dark that is supposed to be the person that they should have flagged off from the initial stage, but they did not have the guts to go through that route. So upon that, the governor was brought into the fray and giving specific instructions. And for me, I have seen the governor act in so much docility. When this saga commenced, I said nobody follows a Lilliput. And whether you like it or yes, the governor was not showing capacity, strength, and leadership as it ought to be. We are in a country where we have seen what is happening. We have not declared state of emergency, even in far northern Nigeria, where people, look, children were completely, 300 and how many? 65 or how many children were packed up from Chibok. Outside of that, we have seen Boko Haram almost run amok communities. But because legislative processes must be observed, these places were not even at that point in time declared state of emergency. Today, we talk about a state that produces well over 30 to 40% of the country's revenue, injects into it. And the Supreme Court, in our wisdom, decides to withhold allocations to that state. And because one or two persons feel disgruntled and something has transpired now, and instead of good reason to come into play for people to sit on the round table and work out a lasting solution, the next thing is the state of emergency. Is it that all that is important about the Niger Delta is the resources that is here and that can be extracted? Is that all that it is to the Niger Delta? But we hear people, governors have even gone into the bush to take selfies with bandits. And the governor sat down in Erufai, said to us that he has seen the people who came to Kajuru, to Southern Kaduna. He has paid them off, they won't come back again. Or public space. They did not withhold the funds from allocation. That is, he was mismanaging it. He was not appropriating it right. We saw in Katsina State where the governor had to go to the bush to take selfies with terrorists. because the place was almost being run amok. He had to come into a compromise, and yet there was no reason to say these people were not able to manage the government. Is it in a state that pensioners have not been paid for years? The people have not been promoted in civil service. Then the governor that comes in to promote them, and upon that strength, the governor is being asked to step aside for one reason or the other by rascality of some persons. And upon that strength, the governor, in all the opportunities he had to be able to exert himself and for able to make people to stick the reason to stand with him, never did. And you come out to tell us that everything is right. For me, I can make bold to say that whether we like it or yes, this is the reality we have found ourselves. We just pray and hope that things do not escalate beyond the year. Neither do we go below this ebb as a people. Because where we are right now is the rock bottom of anything you can say. Let me tell you, the prices of things in Nigeria is already too high. The cost of living is crazily very high already. On top of all of this, you are talking about withholding of allocation of the state. We people like us had already believed that all of that was already programmed to ensure that whether we like it or not, that something funny was fishy. We never saw a state of emergency happening. We saw a possible rascal, what's it called, a commandorial pattern of impeachment, not a state of emergency. But I think that the actors have equally checked the roles that they have given to people, and they have come to see that maybe that might not be the best route to go, and possibly now a state of emergency being issued. Like you rightly in your preamble, you asked the question: has it really come to a state of emergency? As the happenings in River State really brought us to a state of emergency? That's your preamble. Yes. And whether you that question should be answered by every person individually in their consciences, and equally the government, both the sole administrator and even the federal government as well.
Thank you.